What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about Aaron Glenn addressing kind of an awkward situation and AD Mitchell and why I think there's a chance that this guy might break out with the Jets. Let's start with Aaron Glenn on Quincy Williams. Here's what he had to say about the Quincy situation.
He told us the other day that you guys let him know he's going to be
Yeah.
kind of with the twos, and he said it was because of the way he's been playing.
Yeah.
What can you say about?
Here's what I would say about that. I keep all of those conversations in-house between me and him, even though you guys know it already. That's first thing. The second thing is we do things a certain way here, and that's how we're going to operate. And the third thing is Quincy's going to be just fine. Just trust me on that. He'll be just fine.
Clearly, Quincy didn't want to be here once his brother was gone. And I understand that. It's tough. I'm sure he wanted to be included in the Dallas deal. I think Dallas was at one point interested, and then kind of things went a different direction, and he stays, and you know, he's going to be benched and then talks about it with the media. And like, he was clearly upset, and I understand why he is upset. I don't blame him for that in the slightest. I do respect Glenn, though, for wanting to keep this in-house and address those issues inside the doors of the locker room. I don't think you have to blow it up and make it a big deal. And, you know, they apparently Glenn and Quincy were hugging and talking on the practice field today. Like, I think it's going to be okay. And, you know, he's probably not coming back on the roster next year would be my guess. But, you know, I don't think this is going to turn into a thing where we just never see Quincy Williams on the field again. We saw a few weeks ago, Jamie Sherwood was benched and then had to re-enter the game due to injury. But, you know, I'm sure Quincy's going to play at some point over the final 9 games of the year. And I don't think he's necessarily going to hold it against Aaron Glenn and the staff. Because let's be honest, like, even if he wants to go somewhere else, he has to put good tape out there the final 9 games of the year to get paid. Like, he can't just completely mail it in. Otherwise, that's going to impact his livelihood going forward. So he understands that. It's a tough business. He was upset, clearly, but I think it's going to be okay. Aaron Glenn spoke on AD Mitchell. Here's what he had to say about the wide receiver.
A guy like Mitchell with that,
Yep.
at that age and that level of seeming ability, is he the kind of guy who could really just change his scenery and then things kind of click? Because it seemed to be, it wasn't happening there, but,
Yeah.
but could it happen?
Yeah. Well, that's the plan. That's the plan for him to come here, get a change of scenery, because he is definitely talented. And I think you guys already know that from what he did in college, come to the NFL. So he's excited to be here. I do know that. Funny story, I didn't know that he actually went to school, high school with my daughter, right, in Texas. You know, so we have a connection there. So looking forward to getting him out there, and you just see how he's built in his pads. He looks like a true X receiver. So I'm excited for having that player. Look,
Clearly AD Mitchell's a talented player, and he was in a tough wide receiver room with guys like Michael Pittman and Downs and, you know, Alec Pierce. He was kind of buried on the depth chart a little bit. And he was also benched for making a mistake against the Rams a few weeks ago where he fumbled on the goal line. It was not exactly a Malachi Corley situation, but somewhat similar. And he was having a really good game that day too, which is the frustrating part. He had 3 catches for 96 yards. And then since that game, over the next 4 weeks, he was only targeted once per game over that stretch. So clearly it fell out of favor in Indianapolis. But I really wanted to go back to that mistake, and his quote after he made that mistake, I thought was a good one. He said, quote, "The ball was put in my hand to make a play for the team, and it was a matter of losing focus and just to play. That just can't happen. Just unacceptable. I've just got to be better for the team and for the organization." I mean, I think he took full accountability for the mistake, and it was a significantly better answer that we got from Adonai Mitchell than we did Malachi Corley a year ago when he said he wasn't embarrassed about the play. A little bit different of a situation, right? And look, I really like this kid's attitude, and he spoke with the media today, and here's how he described himself.
For Jets fans who haven't seen your play, just how would you describe yourself as a player?
How would I describe myself? A winner.
Again, I think AD Mitchell's a talented wide receiver, and he has a really good opportunity with the Jets to showcase his talents. He was a high second round pick for a reason. And the Jets wide receiver room is in a position where they don't have a ton of talent outside of Garrett Wilson. So I would use this time. I know I've said it a bunch this week, but I would use this time to evaluate players like A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie to see what they are for you going forward. I know, Josh Reynolds is on IR and eventually he's going to be healthy, but it doesn't really give you anything to continue to toss him out there when you could be evaluating other players. Same thing like Allen Lazard. Like, what does Allen Lazard reps do for you going forward? Those reps should be given to guys like Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie, and even, I would say, even Tyler Johnson. I know he was brought in on a 1-year deal, but, he's played okay in his role. And, he was probably like the Jets' third receiver on this team. And like, that's not a Tyler Johnson role, but can he carve out a role as a 5th or 6th option? Same with Arian Smith. Like, what can we see from him going forward? And, who knows? Maybe, Mechie's on an expiring deal. If he plays well, maybe they choose to bring him back. A.D. Mitchell has, 2 more years of team control after this one. So I'd anticipate he's going to have some role on the Jets in 2026. It's really just a matter about finding out where. Is he actually a wide receiver 2? Is he better off as more of a wide receiver 3 or 4? And if that's the case, fine. You got him for, essentially a throw-in in the Sauce Gardner trade, but then you just have to go into the offseason knowing that you need to add a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, whatever the case is at that point. So I'm excited to watch these guys play. I know, in the wins and losses after you make these kinds of trades, that they don't really matter as much, but this is still a year where you're evaluating the coaching staff and evaluating the young players on this team. And I just think you want to see improvement from these kind of players as the year goes on. So that'll do it for me in this one, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.